Ladies and gentlemen, way back in 2008, five like-minded achievers came together with a dream, a very, very thought-provoking and visionary dream of providing cancer care, comprehensive cancer care to all the poor and the needy in particular, and at the same time take effective steps to prevent cancer and also at the same time train healthcare personnel so that they will be able to manage cancer patients. And finally, the dream turned into reality on 15th of August 2012. So right from its inception, as they say, perfect 10, the last 10 years, the Cancer Hospital and Foundation has been imparting comprehensive cancer care and living up to its objective. At this juncture, on behalf of the trustees and core committee members of Sri Shankara Cancer Foundation and the faculty and staff of the hospital, I am Shankar Prakash, extending a very, very warm welcome to a day of celebration, the 10th annual day celebration. ತಮಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಈ ಒಂದು ವಿಶೇಷ ಸಂದರ್ಭಕ್ಕೆ ಆದರದ ಸ್ವಾಗತ, ಸುಸ್ವಾಗತ, very hearty welcome to all of you ladies and gentlemen. As per the rich and wonderful tradition of a country where we all live in, which is known for its unity in diversity, we always start any function by offering our salutations to the Almighty. So on behalf of all of us, I would request Dr. Tulsi Nagesh for invocation.
Namaskara and a very warm welcome to Sri Shankara Cancer Hospital. An invocation to Sharada Devi, the patron goddess of our institution and the presiding deity of Sringeri, Rag Bhairavi. Mata Saraswati Sharada Mata Saraswati Sharada He Mata Saraswati Sharada Vidyadani Dayani Dukhaharini Jagat Janani Jwalamukhi Mata Saraswati Sharada Mata Saraswati Sharada Vidyadani Dayani Dukhaharini Jagat Janani Jwalamukhi Mata Saraswati Sharada Mata Saraswati Sharada कीजे सुदृष्टि सेवक मान अपना इतना वरदान दीजे, तान ताल और आलाप बुद्धि अलंकार। शारदा हे माता सरस्वती, शारदा विद्यादानी दयानी दुःखहरिणी, जगत जननी ज्वालामुखी माता सरस्वती, शारदा हे माता सरस्वती, शारदा हे माता सरस्वती, शारदा।
Thank you, Dr. Tulsi Nagesh, for providing a very melodious and a soulful beginning for today's event. As they say, there is nothing equal to knowledge. Nothing can compare with knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita, as they say. Nai gnani na sadusham. Thank you, madam. As we are all aware, the managing trustee, Dr. B.S. Srinath, has been a true leader. He has been leading the hospital right from the front and has been a role model personality, not just for the citizens of Karnataka, but for the entire world. So please give a huge round of applause for Dr. B.S. Srinath for his opening remarks. ಆರಂಭಿಕ ನುಡಿಗಳು ಹಾಗೂ ಸ್ವಾಗತ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಬಿ.
शारदा शारदाम्बोज वदना वदनाम्बुजे सर्वदा सर्वदास्माकं सन्निधिं सन्निधिं क्रियात्. ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Respected Justice, Chief Justice F.N. Venkatacharya, our beloved former Chief Justice of Supreme Court of India, Mrs. Sushmita Bhakti, Sri Subrato Bhakti, invited heads of and directors of charitable institutions of this country, Honorable Justice Ravindran, Mr. Ashwin Mehraji, Sri Kishore Rao, distinguished invitees, my friends in the medical profession, scientific advisory board members, institutional ethics committee members, faculty of this institution, and my colleagues at the hospital. It is extremely heartening that in 10 years since its inception, Sri Shankara Cancer Hospital has blossomed into a mammoth 520-bedded, state-of-the-art, comprehensive and dedicated cancer hospital. The hospital has registered and treated 67,000 new cancer patients so far. We have been able to provide free and concessional treatment to the poor patients to the tune of 89 crores since its inception. The services of the cancer hospital, with its attached advanced research center, community cancer prevention institute, nursing college, and other institutions have been accepted by the society and the patients with affection and appreciation as though it is their own. On this joyous occasion, on behalf of the trustees, core committee members, and the staff of this hospital, I heartily welcome our Honorable Justice Sri M.N. Venkatachalaya, who has always been a pillar of support and a constant source of encouragement to all of us in this hospital ever since the inception of this institution. Mrs. Sushmita Bakshi and Sri Subrato Bakshi have travelled from Bhubaneswar to be here this morning. Sri Shankara has become a part of their life, and we are drawn to Bhubaneswar as the honey bee would be drawn to the fragrance of a flower in the bloom. We are eagerly looking forward to the day when Bakshi Sri Shankara Cancer Center and Research Institute starts serving the cancer patients in Odisha. I heartily welcome the Bakshi couple for the celebrations. Charitable cancer hospitals are few in India and they are still young in age. The challenges confronting the founders and administrators of these institutions are many. It becomes even more important in these days where we see leaping scientific advances and new treatment options pushing the frontiers of healthcare to unknown areas. The progress also carries along with it an escalating cost of treatment and huge investments. Sri Sundar Vaswani from Sadhu Vaswani Mission in Pune, Dr. Shishir Goswami and Srimati Amita Shishir Goswami from Siddhivinayak Hospital in Miraj. Dr. T. Subramanyeshwar Rao is expected any moment. He is from Basvataraka Hospital in Hyderabad. Major General Parikh is here. He is from Bhagwan Cancer Hospital and Research Center in Jaipur. Dr. S.K. Sharma ji from Sheila Memorial Hospital, Sheila Sharma Memorial Hospital in Mathura. Dr. B.R. Patil from Padma Shri R.V. Patil Cancer Center in Hubli. Mr. Mani Muthu from Mahatma Gandhi Cancer Hospital and Research Center in Visakhapatnam. And we are expecting Aditya Murthy and Piyush Kumar before we start the symposium. They are from Bareilly. All of them have traveled all the way to be with us and also participate in the important symposium. I heartily welcome all of you. On behalf of the trustees, I welcome all the invitees, the donors, the well-wishers who have made this institution possible. There are more than 5,000 people from various walks of life. On this day, while I thank them, I also respectfully welcome them to this celebration. Sri Shankara Cancer Hospital and Research Trust is truly the epitome of trust, vision, and magnanimity of all the donors. This hospital carries the hopes and aspirations of all donors, our doctors, and the large family of our beloved cancer patients. These 3 days of celebrations is an effort to honor all the people responsible for the success of this hospital, donors and patients, and look forward to many more such milestones in the years ahead. Once again, on behalf of all of us at Shankara, our family, I welcome all of you. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you would all agree with me. Those were indeed words straight from the heart. Dhanyavad sir, and let's all give a round of applause to the managing trustee and may, with his leadership, let the Shankara before we move ahead, a lot of wonderful musical ringtones of the phones are ringing. So I would request straight away to kindly put your phones in the silent mode. Switch off will be a better mode, but then, okay, silent mode should be okay. ದಯಮಾಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಟೆಲಿಫೋನ್ಗಳನ್ನ silent mode ಗೆ ಹಾಕಬೇಕಾಗಿ ವಿನಂತಿ. It's now my pleasure to request the dignitaries on the dais to kindly come forward and light the lamp to signal the beginning of a new era in the history of the hospital. So, ladies and gentlemen, all of you have been in this wonderful journey, and now under the leadership of Justice C.M. Venkatacharya, as he rightly indicates, ladies first. Yes, Srimati Smita Bakshi kindly initiate the traditional lighting of the lamp. Yes, hail this, sir. I think ladies first. The 10th annual day celebration of Sri Shankara Cancer Hospital and Research Center. More than 70,000 cancer patients have been treated, and it's been, in reality, an ideal example for several firsts. Been a role model hospital and has led the way with its pioneering work in the area of comprehensive cancer care, and of course, several mind-boggling steps being taken for the prevention of cancer. Just like a true leader, Srinath also requesting that everyone should be a part of this celebration. We'd like to thank all the dignitaries on the dais for lighting the lamp. Well, ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, I would request the dignitaries on the dais to kindly curl the chairs so that we'll be observing the virtual tour of the hospital in just a couple of seconds. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the clappings were heard when the lights were off. How about giving a huge round of applause? That's awesome. Thank you very much. At this juncture, a coffee table has been brought out. I would request Honorable Justice Sri Venkatachalaya to kindly release the coffee table book brought out on the occasion and give the copies to the dignitaries. This is the state-of-the-art coffee table book, which goes a long way. A comprehensive coffee table book, which gives us a total insight into the various facets and aspects of the particular moments, and of course, the important stages of growth and development. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause. Temple of Healing, the coffee table book, Temple of Healing. Thank you very much. I will now request our Chief Guest, Justice Sri Venkatachalaya, to kindly address all of us. ದಯಮಾಡಿ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಉದ್ದೇಶಿಸಿ ಮಾತನಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿ ಗೌರವಾನ್ವಿತ ಶ್ರೀ ವೆಂಕಟಾಚಲಯ್ಯ.
श्रीमती सुष्मिता भारती जी, श्री सुब्रतो भारती जी, Dr. Srinath, very respected invitees, Justice Ravindran, ladies and gentlemen. I do not know to what good fortune in my past life that I have the privilege of being with you this morning. Once, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru asked a great scientist, atomic energy man, how to build a scientific institution. He said, get a great scientist and build an institution around him. Don't build an institution, then fight for a man who will hate it. I think these people who have conceived of this great edifice of peace and hope and cure overheard the conversation between Pandit Nehru and the scientist. They got Dr. Srinath at the center of it. The same Parsi scientist who headed the Atomic Energy Commission was an artist, musician, painter, and an outstanding human being. He wanted the Atomic Energy Commission's office to be decorated by good paintings. He proposed to buy some paintings. The usual secretary to Government of India said it's a very expensive outlay. We should leave it to one person. We will have a committee to select this. Of course, that's the way our Babu's work, you know. And the file went to Pandit Nehru. He said, I entirely agree with the secretary, but I will make this gentleman the one-man commission to do that. And he bought some beautiful, beautiful paintings and decorated the Atomic Energy Commission. Aesthetics and science art and music. All these are great gifts of our country. Today, it's indeed a particular honor to be invited to this temple of modern medicine on the occasion of the celebration of its 10 years of dedication to healthcare. It's a symbol of synthesis of science and spirituality. The inspiration of science came from the great medical scientist Dr. Srinath, and spirituality in the form of grace and resources from the sacred Sringeri Sharada Pita. The combination and mutual inspiration and enrichment have worked a great wonder in the service of humanity. The achievements recorded in the publication are inspiring. Cancer is a disease, the very diagnosis of which was at one time considered a pronouncement of a death sentence. It was declared the emperor of all maladies. An eminent writer estimating its evil potential. No, sir. I'll have to leave the hall and go away if you embarrass me like this. No, please. Pranam to you, sir. Please don't embarrass me any further. To sit next to him, I have something to say about what it is to touch him. I'll say that now alone. I will written it down a little later, but I want to tell you there is one great disease. The Arishad Varga, the six great enemies of man. One of them is miserliness. Miserliness. You know, if you practice miserliness to excess, what happens is you don't trust your right hand at all. You pass the money from the right hand to the left hand. And you feel so jealous about the left hand that you transfer it to the right hand and keep on doing it. This is what happens to the mind when you are possessed by this evil of miserliness, lobha. And I have requested everybody, those who suffer from this disease, just gently make your way at the dais and just come and touch this man next to me. You will be instantly cured of that disease and you will have moksha. This is the, in fact, to part with wealth is not an easy thing. In fact, it is considered more people who possess wealth rate wealth more than their own lives. In fact, in the Puranas, they say it is Bhaya Prana. Wealth is outside your life outside your body. There is a Taskara in the Vanik, they say the thief jumps off 18-foot wall to possess something and run away. He praises the wealth more than his own life. The Vanik takes his goods and a boat transport his goods for business sake outside on even at sea, risking his life. And when I was in practice, I could see how people rated wealth more than their own lives. And a person who has this kind of this practice distance from possession is ultimate sannyasi. I think I am sitting next to the higher sannyasi. And ladies and gentlemen, the kind of motivation that these great people have is an example. And in fact, I had the great good fortune to meet some of the finest human beings in this country. On one occasion, the Human Rights Commission, I spoke about the education of the girl children. The gentleman, very meek looking, very innocent looking gentleman was in the corner. Exactly 1 year later, he came to me and said, I have built a school for girl children, poor girl children in the Faridabad area, in the labor concentrated area. You come and inaugurate it. I went there. It was something amazing. It was a 5-star school for poor children in that area, for workers' children, for girl children. He made a 5-star institution. This is something which is peculiar to India. Of course, you have heard of an American tycoon who gave away money equal to 1,80,000 crores. Warren Buffett gave to the Melinda Foundation, Bill Gates and Melinda Foundation, $30 billion. I think compared to the Indian standard, we have the person sitting next to me, or I have the privilege of sitting next to him. This is something which is heartwarming. There are many people whom Dr. referred to in the gathering who have supported this. They have not supported a cause. They have supported their own liberation. It is something which comes to a man when he is blessed. Ladies and gentlemen, in the United States alone, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 2 men will develop cancer during their lifetime, sometime or the other. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 2 men. There are no even cancer is partial to women. In the United States alone, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 2 men will develop cancer during their lifetime. A quarter of all American deaths and about 15% of all deaths in the world, deaths worldwide will be attributed to cancer. In some nations, cancer will surpass heart disease to become the most common cause of death. In the midst of this darkness, this institution is the beacon light of hope and cure. One thing it has demonstrated more than anything else is that cancer is curable. Early diagnosis will make it more curable. Dr. Srinath and his team have earned the gratitude of society for this remarkable experiment. This center has become a world-class center. At the same time, it is endeavoring to make treatment affordable. Medical research in this field has achieved several breakthroughs. The boundaries of knowledge of all fields are merging. For instance, two physicists, Paul Latrobe and Peter Mansfield, earned Nobel Prizes for medicine for their research in magnetic resonance imaging. A pediatric pathologist, Sidney Farber, founder of modern chemotherapy, provided a powerful tool against cancer. Recent researchers are providing glimpses of a new hope against cancer. Dr. Srinath and his co-warriors of science will win this final war against cancer. Such is their research attitude and commitment. Comprehensive healthcare in India has to provide for these, to consider these 4 factors. Provide clean drinking water, food without fecal contamination, reduce the smoke in the village kitchens. That will provide 70% of primary health care. All that you need to do to achieve 70% of the primary health care is to give potable water and separate food from contamination and protect food from fecal contamination and reduce the smoke in the village chulas. There is a compelling need to promote preventive health care through massive program of medical checkup and early diagnosis, which while providing early warning, will generate massive data for future planning strategies of healthcare. Genetic sequencing is the new and powerful tool. The accessibility and affordability of medical treatment should envisage massive expansion of healthcare insurance in the country. In the rural area, the insurance protection is for only 14% of the people. As you said, in the urban areas, it's about 18%. And that is nothing compared to what the Western countries have achieved. Massive programs for updating the skills of doctors, nurses, and health workers should be encouraged in the private sector. An international exchange program will encourage greater exposure to drastically changing treatments and nursing protocols. Health insurance is woefully inadequate, and we have a symposium this afternoon about strategies to build a better and affordable health care. And 1 or 2 small suggestions. I am not an armchair economist even. I have dealt with some very tricky cases in the Supreme Court concerning some economic policies. But what I think is there's a, there's a, the amount of money needed to take care of the health of people, which is the most precious asset of any country, is is very hard to come by having regard to the demands and public finances from various quarters for development of defense. I don't know how this can happen. Keep on spending money endlessly on defense. In fact, Europe in 1,000 in 400 years in the history of Europe, there was 1,000 wars among the states in Europe itself. And one man, Helmut Kohl in Germany, thought of putting an end to that. He started with inviting the makers of public opinion in the European states, Western European states, to come to Germany, enjoy, spend some nice time, and go back. Slowly built up a public opinion in the respective countries. And the result was the European Union. And in 400 years, there were 1,000 wars. After the European Union, there's hardly any war at all in Europe. And I think in September 1998, Helmut Kohl lost his election for Schroeder. Then he announced his retirement. On that occasion, a farewell was arranged. People shouted standing ovation for him for 1 hour. They said, Helmut, Helmut, for 1 hour. And some speaker on that occasion said that his retirement from politics is something like the Alps in Europe announcing their departure. That was the kind of ovation he gave. And in a non-trivial sense, we saw this being enacted 50 years earlier when there was a partition of India. Gandhi went to Jinnah gently and said, brother, we have parted as brothers now. Let us keep two things common, the common defense and common foreign relations. We'll have India and Pakistan will have a common defense and a common foreign policy, foreign relations. That would have eliminated this kind of warmongering between the two states forever, but Jinnah declined. That was a moment of history. Ladies and gentlemen, today science is something mind-boggling. They say that you can add 1 year to your lifespan every year. And the same name as Isaac Asimov's Fantastic Voyage. Two scientists wrote a book on the same title, Fantastic Voyage. I think both of them were doctors. They said that with this present state of knowledge of science and technology, we can add 1 year to our lifespan every year. That is, you have conquered mortality, conquered death. They said the adage of the penalty, inevitability of death and taxes, you take away death from the list, and you can limit the taxes, but you can add 1 year to your lifespan every year. They asked him, how could you do that? He said, change your cooking oil into fish oil or olive oil. Change your white cane sugar into stevia sugar. Maintain the physiological alkalinity of the blood. You can add 1 year to lifespan every year, but you can't avoid cancer perhaps. I think this is such a scourge. The kind of research that is needed in the country, and thank God, people now say that after 2014 to 2019, in the 5 years, India's first-class scientific research publications mean 1.1 million. That is 11 lakhs of world-class papers are published. Papers now say that India has come of age. There are only 5 countries in the world. Japan with a small population, they produce the top-class publications. China is number 2 now. After the United States, China is number 2. And what I wish to convey to Dr. Srinath is that he has done a great place in our society and in our hearts. I wish my prayers and wishes that God give us all the good sense to not only to admire this beautiful experiment from a distance, but in our own small way, how we can support it and I want him to consider. I think economists will perhaps think that this old man has lost the second leave of his senses. If I announce what is in my mind, they will certainly think that even an amateurish economist will not think of this. Cancer and renal failure, dialysis, and these are things, and palliative care. This is the most important thing that we owe to each other. In fact, 2,500 years ago, somebody asked, why do human beings, associate themselves with a political society or a social organization? I think it's Plato who answered. That's because they that the purpose of that association is to give to each one, everyone, the highest opportunity of attaining their highest best self. Give them the best opportunity to achieving their highest self. You provide an opportunity. You can't assure everybody to become Prime Minister and the President of India, but you give them the opportunity. This is the purpose for which society is formed. Society is intended, the purpose, society is intended to serve. But if we don't do that, Locke in the 16th century said, why should people obey law at all if you don't keep your promise? Very strangely and perhaps by a coincidence, last year, the director of the London School of Economics, Shafi, wrote a book, the title of which was What We Owe Each Other. It's a beautiful, sensitive interpretation of the social contract of Plato and Rousseau and the great scientists. And coincidentally, by a felicitous coincidence, on the other side of the Atlantic, one Professor T.M. Scanian, he wrote a book with the same title, What We Owe Each Other. And today, this institution gives the most beautiful answer. What we owe each other is that we should provide for some of the most beautiful things in life, that is the satisfaction that you stood by a fellow man and you shared a tear with him, you shared a tear with him. Thank you very much for your kindness.
Thank you, wonderful Justice. It was indeed a university or an institution speaking, and we are all pretty fortunate enough to listen to the words of wisdom of Honorable Justice Venkatachalaya. Let's all once again thank Justice for this taking time. Due to some urgent work he has to do, but before he leaves, I would request Sri V.R. Nagaraj to kindly come over and say a few words of thanks and gratitude to Justice Venkatachalaya.
Namaskara, everyone. Respected Justice LLB, Madam Sri Bharati, Dr. V.S. Good morning, and the audience, and the distinguished audience. Good morning, everyone, and I take immense pride to say a few words about Justice Dr. M.N. Venkatachalaya. Dr. M.N. Venkatachalaya is an epitome of ceaseless activity and unremitting public service. A great scholar and a saintly person. He is one of our most illustrious and respected judges. He is among the few who occupied the highest positions without being touched by the pomp and paraphernalia of office, with the highest standards of integrity and independence. The famed Dr. D.V. Gundappa once said, it's a quote, in order to find out answers and solutions to problems of public life, and to express them. I shall not be beholden to any faction or party and be guided by my conscience alone and conduct myself accordingly. However, I shall also truthfully contemplate upon the opinion of every group. In every matter, I shall examine every opinion with empathy and critical reasoning. This, I feel, completely applies to Justice Dr. Melvin. We have grown up in the shade of a grand tree, and Sri M.N. Venkatachalaya is a tree that can stay forever. It helps us move from falsehood to truth, darkness to light, death to immortality. A healthy respect for one's life, enthusiasm to do one's own duty, courage in the face of adversity, faith that brings solace during moments of doubt is what we can learn from Sri M.N. Venkatachalaya's life mission. Thank you very much, sir, for coming and flagging off our hospital's decennial celebrations. We respect your love and affection, and we feel blessed by your presence. May I request our Managing Trustee, Dr. B.S. Srinath, to hand over a memento to Dr. M.N. Venkatachalaya as a mark of our gratitude and respect. So before I close, thanks everyone for giving me a patient hearing.
Thank you. Well, it's indeed another important thing I would like to announce. Justice Venkatachalaya said you would stay back and listen to Sri Subrata Bharati. That's so gracious of him. Thank you, sir. Well, when Honorable Justice was speaking, he just said one thing which sums it up all, that before all of us leave, if you get an opportunity, just touch the hands of Sri Subrata Bharati. Yeah, so that sums up all, and we'll become Punita. In fact, we'll all become holy, and how to just abolish all the unwanted things in our system. So, please give a huge round of applause to Sri Subrata Bharati. It's all yours.
Honorable previous Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Sri Shankara Dr. Srinath, of course my better half, Srimati Susmita Bakshi. Ladies and gentlemen, many of you would have seen in the recent past a very embarrassing newspaper report that I'm studying law currently because I have to pass my unfinished 6th semester in law from Delhi University. So currently, I'm very busy reading about 200 case studies. And among them, many of the case studies I'm reading are where Justice Venkatachalaya has made his pronouncements. The last couple of days, I've been reading some of that. And he famously, in a case where the earlier bench was taking a restrictive view of law. He said that taking a restrictive view of a certain law should be consigned to the dustbin of history. What words? And then he said, in another context, that it is a weak society that celebrates judicial paternalism to solve its problems. He has all along reminded us through his work and his pronouncements that character cannot be a substitute for law. We are deeply honored, Sushmit and I, to be on this platform today. Dr. Srinath actually gave me a very unusual task. He called me up and said, "You have to speak." And I was very embarrassed that I have to speak. You don't want to be speaking because you have been able to contribute a certain amount of money, of which you were never the owner. You were just the custodian. But nonetheless, Dr. Srinath is elder brother to both Sushmita and I, and his word was the command. And he said that you have to speak on integrity. So I'm here actually not talking about cancer to you, but something quite cancerous in our society, unless we have a fair understanding of what is the idea of integrity. So we all are institution builders. That's the common theme among all of us in the audience today. And when you look at institution building, you look at Sri Shankara Cancer Foundation, for example, historically people would think that institution building and enterprise building, which is one and the same thing, requires the 3 M's, which is men, material, and money. So you have to have the human resource, you have to have the materials, and for both you need money. But sometime in the 1980s, when people like Peter Drucker and the people like Peter Senge, people like Alvin Toffler, who were futurologists, they came and saw the future unfolding. They said that the future will belong not just to people who have the 3 M's, but more critically, 1 I, which is man, material, money, and information. But in today's world, that 3M and 1 I is no longer relevant. More relevant is the additional R which has been added to it, which is reputation. So you require men, material, money, but with that you can build anything that you want. It will not be memorable. You need information, access to information, which is democratized today, but reputation is not democratized. So reputation is based on integrity. And what is integrity? The word integrity actually comes from the word integer, which is about being whole. So when we lose integrity, we are broken inside. We are designed to have integrity as people, as institutions. But unfortunately, issues of integrity do not always present themselves in black and white. And the radiologists in the audience will tell us that between black and white, there are 108 shades of gray that the human eye is trained to actually distinguish. That is why traditionally the radiologist could see an X-ray film and say exactly what is the aberration in it. So they can distinguish between not 1 or 2, but 108 shades of gray. So we have the risk, you and I have the risk of losing ourselves in the many shades of gray. So we need a framework. We need a common understanding of what is the meaning of integrity as we build our own lives and as we build institutions together. So I believe that there are 4 simple principles if we follow, 4 simple principles. Then we will not have a problem being lost in the 108 shades of gray. First and foremost, we need to follow the rules where rules exist. We need to follow the rules where rules exist. But for everything in life, there cannot be a rule. So the second principle is we have to follow fair judgment where there are no rules. The third thing is there will be times when you are not sure that there is a rule, there is a law. You're also not sure that your fair judgment is fair. In a situation like that, the principle is you have to seek help. When in doubt, seek help. And the fourth and the last one is our private act should withstand public scrutiny if suddenly the lights come on without causing us embarrassment. So my private act must withstand public scrutiny without causing me embarrassment. I need to elucidate a little bit on each of those four. First and foremost, what is the meaning of follow the rules? We need to follow the rules to the letter and the spirit, not just the letter, as many of us do in India. The second thing about following the rules is, as Mr. Azim Premji famously said, you can't do cherry picking. You cannot say, I will follow the convenient rules and I will not follow the other rules. That I will be a philanthropist in my life, but I will also evade taxes. So I will not follow the rules related to payment of my taxes in a fair and square way. So we can't cherry pick. Now let's talk about fair judgment. What is fair judgment? Each one of us are factory fitted with fairness. When we are delivered from the mother's womb, we are factory fitted with fairness. Now, fairness, as Justice Venkatachalaya was tell us, is about prudence. When the law is ambiguous, when everything comes to a dead stop and a decision has to be given, the honorable judge will have to think like a common man who's got prudence. All of us have prudence. And in order to exercise prudence, I have to ask a very simple question. In acting out my intention, I have to basically say, what would happen if I was on the other side? How would I feel? I talked about seeking help when you are in doubt. Now, the critical thing about seeking help are threefold. One is that you have to seek help before you commit an act. There's no point in seeking help after you have done something. The second thing is, who do you seek help from in a situation, in a social situation like what we are going through today? You have to seek help from somebody who you deeply respect, but who does not have a vested interest in what you are trying to do. The third thing is you don't seek help with a confirmation bias. You don't conclude something in your mind and then go to somebody like Dr. Sunal and say, please tell me what to do. But you want to basically, in your heart of hearts, you're wanting to hear your own voice. You can't do that. So I always say that, giving an example of seeking help, all we need to do is before we want to rob a bank, we have to call mother and say, Mother, I'm planning to rob a bank. Do you think it's a good idea? Mother, I want to do a little bit of insider trading. Do you think it's a good idea? So speak to mother, and no mother, believe me, no mother will tell you that it's a good idea. So we need to seek help from people who we deeply respect, deeply love, but who do not have a vested interest in what we are trying to do. Now let's talk about private act, which must withstand public scrutiny. Now, when do we actually lose our sense of judgment? We lose our sense of judgment when we think that there is anonymity. The moment I'm anonymous, the moment I'm online and nobody is watching, then I lose my discretion. So the anonymity is a dangerous thing. And in a world of digital footprint, actually nobody is anonymous. So we have to basically say that whatever I'm doing in my personal life and professional life, if suddenly the lights come on and suddenly I'm not anonymous, will my private act withstand public scrutiny without causing me embarrassment? If I'm not embarrassed, anything is okay. The difference between human beings and other forms of life is that we are gifted with intelligence, and higher the intelligence, greater is the propensity to lose judgment. So it is very critical that we don't lose the judgment. Now, here I would like to tell you about 2-3 things. In this room full of people here today, we are seeing high performers. And it is a high performer who is at the greatest risk of actually losing judgment. Now, there is a misconception that only bad people do bad things. You'll be surprised when people lose judgment. It is the good people who do bad things. So the good people are as much at risk that they will do something wrong. And high performers are really at a higher risk, because if you look at the double helix in your mind, if you think about the picture of the DNA, it's called the double helix. On one side is the formula of our success with which we are born, and the other side of the double helix is actually the formula of our self-destruction. So the great performers, the high performers, do not need an external friend or external enemy. They are their greatest friend and they are their own worst enemy. Now, if you look at the issue of integrity, in a country like ours today, there are a lot of conflicts that people like us go through. So one very simple conflict that people go through is this, that everybody else is doing it, and what's wrong with that? So if everybody else is actually defeating the purpose of law, if everybody else is contravening, if everybody else is doing private acts that don't withstand public scrutiny, what's wrong in me doing it? The second thing is, if I do not do it, somebody else will do it. If I don't take the money on the side, somebody else will do it. The third thing is, if I follow the path, will I get a special reward or recognition? If I'm honest, then is there a separate queue for me when I'll meet my creator? And the other thing that is there is small aberrations do not matter. It's a small little aberration. I'm doing a small little thing on this side. What's wrong with it? And last but not the least is this illusion we create for ourselves that I'm not doing it, I'm doing it for somebody else. So I'm not making, making the money on the side. I'm not actually contravening the law. I'm doing it for my institution. But one point I want to pick up in all these things, and that is about, the issue of being misled by the misconception that it's a small thing, it doesn't really matter. We are in a cancer hospital, so I need to remind ourselves that the human body has 37.2 trillion cells, give and take some. 37.2 trillion cells. What is cancer? It is one of those 37.2 trillion cells that forgets that it is meant to destroy itself. So it begins with one cell. Cancer begins with one cell. So small aberrations are the cancers of the human body. Small aberrations are the cancer of society. So one has to be very, very careful with this misconception and this illusory idea that what I'm doing is really something small. In the little time that I have with you today, I want to talk a little bit about the role of leaders, because all of you are leaders in this room. As a leader, each one of us has to articulate what is integrity in our context. What is integrity in Sri Shankara's context? What is integrity in the context of a court of law, a court of justice? What is integrity for a private enterprise? We cannot leave it to individual interpretation. We must have a lexicon which our own organization understands fully. The second important thing is we have to continuously talk about negative examples. People don't understand rules and principles and policies. People understand examples. So you have to tell examples where integrity has been breached, as much as we have to give examples, positive examples, where integrity has been upheld. Now, whenever the breach of integrity happens, it is bound to happen when we build great institutions which are going to stand the test of time. Breach of integrity has to happen. We are not infallible. But when that breach of integrity happens, we have to basically decide the right as against the wrong without paying attention to two things. And those two things are, number one, who is involved and what is the stake. Number two, what is the stake. The moment we say who is involved, then we'll leave the black ribbon on the goddess's face actually gets lost. So irrespective of who is involved, we have to say what is the right thing and what is not the right thing. And irrespective of what may be at stake, we have to basically take a call on what is black and what is white without getting lost in the 108 shades of gray. We have to also understand that the jungle has eyes. So when there is a breach of integrity and the topmost person is taking a call and the topmost person in the organization thinks only 5 people in the organization know about it. So we can actually make some compromises here. The truth is 500 people already know about it. And when we were children, if you remember in your family and my family, the eldest child has made a transgression with the principles with which the parents are raising. Simple thing. You are supposed to come in at 6 o'clock in the evening, wash your hands, say your prayers, sit with your textbook. And somebody does not come in through the front door, it is 7 o'clock in the night, comes back through the back door. And in that moment, the mother or the father immediately either overlooks it or chastises that individual. And the fact is, there are 3 other brothers and sisters looking at how the parents are responding. So when the parent actually with speed, simplicity, and self-confidence hold this aberrant behavior to task, the others are getting the message. And in all these things, sense making becomes the critical leadership deliverable. It is not important only to deal with the aberration. We have to explain what happened to the people who have to carry the torch forward. Now, the question that will come up is all this very good, but does it make any sense in an organizational interest point of view? In a country like India, are we trying to preach celibacy to a teenager when we talk about integrity? Well, integrity makes sense because reputation in today's world is fungible. Reputation is no longer only a good thing to have or a nice thing to have. You know, the famous case of polluting the ocean came up when Shell Oil actually had a tanker collapse and the ocean was actually covered with crude oil. This happened decades ago, but nobody in United States of America has forgotten Shell for that mistake. But very recently, the similar thing happened with BP, which used to be British Petroleum, on the Strait of Florida, and people said, some people were craving for the blood of the CEO of BP, and most people said, forgive them because they're actually a good company. Accidents do happen. So Shell was never forgiven, but people moved on from the oil spill that BP inadvertently had on the Strait of Florida. Now things will go wrong. And when things go wrong, how that is settled depends on the reputational capital that an institution has built over a period of time. Material money can be assembled at the drop of a hat in today's world, but reputation does not get built overnight. Dr. Srinath is Dr. Srinath because of 40 years of blemishless work. Blemishless work. There are no glaze there. There are no 108 shades of gray there. Now, institution building requires essentially 3 things. One, it requires presence. You need to have presence. Second, you need to have differentiation. You can't be like somebody else. But lastly, and not in the least, great institutions are built when you are consciously trying to be memorable. Memorability is extremely important in today's world. And finally, I'd like to conclude by saying something which I learned from the great management guru, Peter Drucker. He was talking about values and he was trying to create a metaphor on values. And great institutions must have value centricity. So he went on to give us an example from Mother Nature. Because the greatest lessons are in Mother Nature's world. And in Mother Nature's world, if you look at a simple thing, the number of times that a heart beats is the same as in a housefly and a human being. Similarly, if you look at each one of us in this room, what is common to us, irrespective of our diversity, is what is called polar symmetry. We are symmetric at the poles. So when Mother Nature found out the optimum number of times that the heart must beat she kept it constant and spun everything else around it. She formed literally trillions of life forms around that simple principle of the optimal number of times that a heart must beat. And similarly, the moment she found out polar symmetry, she created polar symmetry and built a human being around it, built a four-legged animal around it, and also built a centipede around it. So all of us are symmetric at the poles. The question is, when we build institutions, what is the equivalent of institutional polar symmetry and institutional heartbeat? That answer is values. So, ladies and gentlemen, today is a great day. We are standing on a platform of great values, great integrity. And it is important for us that on today's date, we pledge ourselves not for the next 1 year or 2 years or 5 years. My dream is that on this very same platform, 15 years from now, that's not a long time, it will be the 25th anniversary of Sri Shankara Cancer Foundation. And Dr. Srinath would be gently nudging his 18th year actually. You'll be 18 years old, 25 years old. So Dr. Srinath will be here, you will be here, I will be here, and it will not just be Sri Shankara Cancer Foundation in Bangalore and Bhubaneswar, but we will also be witness to one in the north and one in the east. Thank you very much. Sushmita and I are blessed and delighted to be with all of you today. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, Sri Subrahmanyam, for highly illustrated and motivating address. Thank you very much. We'd also like to thank Honorable Justice and all of us. Will take a quick break and reassemble here at around 11 o'clock for the symposium to unfold. So have a cup of coffee or tea and do come back by 11 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Streaming is very poor.
after a highly successful inaugural session. We have all assembled here, and we have, hope you all enjoyed your coffee and tea. And it's my pleasure to request the panelists to kindly come over. I would first of all request Dr. Shishir Gosavi to kindly come over. The other panelists are also here, Mr. Aditya Murthy, Dr. Piyush Kumar, Dr. T. Subramanyeshwara Rao, Major General Dr. S.C. Parekh, Mr. Sundar Vaswani, Dr. Baswaraj Patil, Dr. S.K. Sharma, and Mr. A. Manimuthu. Well, before I start, uh, what I observed first before the start of the panel discussion is that there is a mini India on the stage. Yeah. So they're all come from different nook and corner of the country. So whatever they say at the backdrop of the Azadi Ka Amrut Mahotsav, it will be the voice of India. And if you all remember, the first patient was treated on the 15th of August. So it's a very ideal situation to start the panel discussion. And since we are having not much of a time, and one common thing about all of them is that they have dedicated their life for the to serve humanity. So that's the only introduction which I can give to all of them. All of them are achievers. They have got they have reached excellence in their respective fields. So what I'm going to do is I'll very quickly introduce each one of them in a one-liner in the interest of time, and then I will start the discussion on achieving high-quality cancer treatment at affordable costs, and importantly, the challenges of charitable cancer institutions. So it's my pleasure first to welcome Dr. Shishir Gosavi, Managing Trustee and Executive Director, Sanjeevani Medical Foundation, Dr. D.K. Gosavi Memorial, Sri Siddhi Vinayak Ganapati Cancer Hospital, Meerut. Welcome to you, sir. We also have Mr. Aditya Murthy, Executive Director and Secretary of SRMS Trust from the Sri Ramamurthy Smarak Institute of Medical Sciences, Bareilly of Uttar Pradesh. Adi Suswagat and Swagat. Dr. Piyush Kumar, Professor and Head Department of Radiotherapy from Sri Ramamurthy Smarak Institute of Medical Science, Bareilly, UP. Dr. T. Subramanyeshwara Rao, Director and Chief Surgical Oncologist from the Baswatakram Indo-American Cancer Hospital and Research Institute from Hyderabad. Major General Dr. S.C. Parekh, Executive Director of Bhagwan Mahavir Cancer Hospital and Research from Jaipur. Mr. Sundar Vaswani, General Manager of Sadhu Vaswani Missions Medical Complex, Pune. Dr. Baswaraj R. Patil, Chairman of the Karnataka Cancer Therapy and Research Institute, Navanagara, Hubballi, Karnataka. And of course, Dr. S.K. Sharma, the trustee of Dr. Sheila Sharma Memorial Charitable Trust, Mathura. And finally, Mr. A. Manimuthu, the CEO of Mahatma Gandhi Cancer Hospital and Research Institute, Visakhapatnam. Now, prior to the panel discussion, I was having a discussion with Dr. Srinath. And now, one important point which I picked up at this juncture is a charitable hospital is in a very, very delicate situation balancing. Now, you can't call yourself something akin to a government hospital. You can't call yourself to a corporate hospital because the purpose is different. All of the dignitaries who start a charitable hospital will be in a different perspective. So the challenges are much more. The patients who come will have to be convinced that it is not a bad place to come in. At the same time, you will get the best of the treatment. So with that, I'm not going to ask the panelists any individual questions in the beginning. What we can do is maybe whenever I raise a question, voluntarily, I would request you to kindly come in, chip in, and then speak. Is that okay with all of you? Yes, sir. Because we have a very illustrious panel. Now, first of all of us have got in our country that we don't know what exactly is a charitable hospital. So, as a concept, what exactly is a charitable hospital? What exactly is a charitable hospital. Any one of